UNDP is an institution that has understood the value of good governance since many, many years. It has become apparent to the institution as well as to many other partners that without a system of good governance, any development effort will escape success, will certainly not be sustainable, and will certainly will not be owned and internalized in the country where it belongs. This is why, at least since 15 years, our main area of work at UNDP is good governance. And by good governance, we mean a system of effective conduction of business by the state in a legitimate way and in a participative way. We mean participation of citizens to the exercise of the dialectic of democracy. In other words, we mean the culture of democracy. This is what good governance is, a pervasive culture of democracy which allows legitimate, efficient and effective decisions making in the country. It is obvious that good governance covers a wide spectrum of activities from public administration to the exercise of political dialectics, to the exercise of political decision-making in the institutions that are designed for that purpose, to the simple dialogue, interaction, brainstorming, and choosing moment by the population. Choosing moments are those that direct the political course and democracy in one way or another, in a direction or another. And it is an important moment of accountability and legitimacy for any government. No government should go without checking. No government should go without testing whether the roads and the paths that are being undertaken are shared and approved by the population. This is why elections become a critical moment of verifying, validating, confirming or rejecting choices that politicians, governments have put in front of their people when we are in democratic societies. And this is why, although we do not overemphasize the value of the electoral moment, is nonetheless a necessary ingredient of democracy. And in order to be a good ingredient, like an ingredient in any kitchen recipe, it must be of good quality. It must be of genuine nature. This is why the electoral moment is important and has to be accompanied, has to be prepared, has to be managed, has to be supervised, has to be monitored in order to ensure that participation is free, that the expression of the opinions and choices of people are independent and are informed. This is why UNDP within the support to good governance has also a special line of support to the electoral process and to the democratic process, therefore. Obviously, assisting only the electoral operations, for complex as they may be, from the registration of voters to the actual voting act, the polling stations, the training, the supervision, the counting, the result, is just a part of what we call electoral assistance. We also consider within electoral assistance the strengthening of the institutions and of the national capacity to conduct and supervise elections, therefore of the election bodies such as the independent electoral courts or other supervisory and organizing bodies for the elections. It is critical that these institutions own the process, that the process does not become externally assisted and driven by donors who provide resources and technical assistance for the electoral support. UNDP has been providing this expanded electoral support, also including the post-electoral phase to support the national democratic institutions that are coming out of the elections, such as parliament, municipal councils, provincial, regional councils, or why not even the public administration, the new government. And this line has been strengthened recently thanks to the great support of the European Union, more specifically of the European Commission, which has allied with the United Nations and specifically with UNDP in many countries to make sure that this electoral assistance is available and is readily available to the national actors, and in many cases play itself a role of reconciliation. The preparation of genuine, independent, impartial elections may also be a phase of a post-conflict situation whereby a society tries to normalize itself. So the value from the security, democratic and development point of view of electoral support is obvious. This is why in more than 70 countries, the European Commission and UNDP have joined forces and have prepared joint proceedings. They have agreed on which is the best way, derived from best practices, that electoral assistance has to be conducted. And not only we have joint instructions, joint guidelines for our field operators, but also we have decided that our staff should be jointly trained, since it is essential that they both gain the same understanding of the electoral assistance operations. This is why joint training and joint guidelines are two pillars of the alliance between the European Commission and UNDP in the electoral assistance area. In Brussels, our office of UNDP maintains this partnership not only for electoral assistance but in a variety of other areas with the European Commission. But to make sure that electoral assistance is prominent in our agenda, we have established a joint task force composed of staff of both institutions and consultants on call from both institutions that are available to prepare projects of electoral assistance and to monitor, troubleshoot, backstop them when necessary. So we see that this is an area that has to be expanded, and possibly the example of this model collaboration, I would say, has to be replicated in other related areas of governance, perhaps in the administration and reform of justice, or parliamentary strengthening, where we are also already very active with the support of the European Commission. It is very important, as a conclusion, again, not to lose perspective. The electoral assistance is oriented to a credible election process. But if we only assist the election process without caring about the institutional strengthening and the capacity building of democratic institutions, it will not be sustainable. As we have seen recently, election can be cause of troubles rather than the other way around. So obviously, we are aware that this assistance has to be more comprehensive, expanded, and in order to be made sustainable and internalized, and to be really a factor of peace and development, and never a factor of additional conflicts.